So I said, oh, should we carry him on the chair like a palanquin? I said, I have to do some seva for that sadhu. I said, no, he will just give his obeisance, sit at the bottom of the stairs. He will not go up inside. He's too old to climb. So I helped him. It was very hot. I had some little umbrella, like those color umbrella from Pipli, between Puri, Bhubaneswar and Puri. And I was holding above his head and holding his arm. And then I helped him to take off his shoes. He gave obeisances. I brought him up. He put on again his shoes. And he looked at me with his head like tilted, like from another realm, another dimension. And he said, indeed, Jante, you speak Hindi? And I said, Torah, Torah. And again, melting and crying and shaking and chanting. Then he opened his arm, hugged me on one side, looked at me and hugged me on the other side like that. I was completely like melting. And after Gogo Maharaj came out again, and the sadhu took him in his arm and he was caressing his head and caressing his face like a child. And if you know Govinda Maharaj, he was a very impressive person. And I was like completely like, who is doing that to my guru? He's treating him like a small child. And who is he? And because nobody would dare, not even in a dream, to caress Govinda Maharaj like on his, and he was doing that like he was a little child and caressing, and Govinda Maharaj like cuddling on his heart. And I was saying, what's happening here? What am I seeing? And when he left, I asked Govinda Maharaj, but Gurudev, this is what it says in Shastra, just by seeing which womb the name comes. He said, yes, he's always in bhav, he never comes down. He said, he's not a preacher, he's an Uttamadhikari, but he's not preaching, he's staying always in that platform, and therefore, he's not coming. And I thought, yeah, that's what I was thinking, that he's trying to communicate with me from another dimension, another planet really. And I told him this is what happened. He said, yes, he's an ocean of mercy. From him I learned Rasa Tattva, he said. I could not in this life, he said, in this life I didn't have so much association with Prabhupada. So this sadhu, and he explained that he was very much lamenting that he could not associate so much with Prabhupada, and then he wanted association. He said one day, this sadhu came in the evening in the high stage of bhav, arriving from Vrindavan, and then he spent some time with him and he instructed him in Rasa Tattva. And he said, he's an ocean of mercy. I remember those words, he's an ocean of mercy. And then he said, yesterday was Nityananda's appearance day, and it was like the big festival in Bhubaneswar. And he said, yesterday you were all crying for mercy, so now Nitai has sent his man, mercy comes as a person. I remember those words, mercy comes as a person. Mercy is not some impersonal principle coming down from the sky like that. Mercy comes as a person. Like we all experience in our lives, those who are Prabhupada disciples or Prabhupada came, mercy came in the form of the Guru. Or Śrīla Narayan Maharaj. We had mercy walking in our life in the form of Śrīla Gurudev, right? Not just some principle, give me mercy, and some kind of, like, and God sent the manna, Manna is coming, nourishing the Hebrews in the desert for 40 years. So mercy comes in that kind of impersonal form. He said, mercy comes as a person. And we can experience in our life directly, if we see, when did we get mercy? Or that was coming in the form of a particular Vaishnava who gave us mercy. And we're still praying to receive mercy from the Vaishnavas. Actually, it says, this bhajan that Śrīla Gurudev has, corrected, so they put his name as the author. Guru Charana Kamal Bhajaman, Shri Guru Charan Kamal Bhajaman. Actually, it existed before Narayan Maharaj, but he corrected something, so the devotees, they put his name there. And it says, Guru Kripa, Krishna Kripa ki Ananda Murti. And that was also Śrīla Gour Govinda always used that term. Krishna Kripa ki Murti. The Guru is the very form of Krishna's mercy. Krishna Kripa ki Ananda Murti, the blissful form of Krishna's mercy. Not just coming mercy, coming as chastisement, austere, dry, cold. No, blissful form of mercy. And Śrīla Gour Govinda, he could chastise you, he could cut you to the quick in public, like cutting you 4 cigarettes, like you cut cucumber. But he did it with so much compassion and affection that you could not hold any grudge. And you could really feel this is really the remedy. Like we mentioned last time, Saraswati Thakur says that the desires of men like goats, and the sadhus stand with a sacrificial knife in the form of unpleasant language. And he said, if you want to give up the ghost of Maya, the witch of Maya, you have to accept the cutting words of sadhus. And he says this is the sadhus' only business, to cut with their words. Actually, if you take the sannyas danda, and we don't carry it because it charges like $100 per flight. So to carry my danda would cost me like $2,000 a year, just for the danda. But the danda itself, it has inside, we call it tri danda. Actually, it has 4 bamboos inside, symbolizing the Sri Vishnu and the Jiva, the soul. And it has a little moon. Oh, little moon. It's not a moon, it's a weapon, it's an axe. And this little moon actually is an axe, and the symbol that when you're speaking, you're cutting your own attachment and the attachment of those to whom you speak. That is the symbol. Sadhu means cutting. Śrīla Gour Govinda used to say, when you come out from Harikatha, you should have lost something and gained something. You should have lost some illusions, some attachments, some anartha, and gained some inspiration, some eagerness. If you come out from Sadhu Sangha and there's nothing, you say, did you listen attentively? Or maybe the speaker is bogus like me, or I don't know. But normally when you come out from Harikatha, something should have happened. No? Like when we go, you were there like in Kartik, in Krishna Balaram Mandir, Madhusudan Maharaj, when he speaks. He's speaking and you say, hey Maharaj, what you do with my heart? You really try to feel it, that when you're operating something, what's going on? And you really feel that it affects you directly, the words. Like with Śrīla Gurudev, Śrīla Narayan Maharaj, or Śrīla Gour Govinda, or any great sadhu. You really feel directly that their words are affecting you inside, your consciousness. That's the idea, right? Otherwise, why do we listen? No? We shouldn't be like dolls. Remember the story of the dolls? 3 kinds of dolls? One man is going in the street and he sees one man is selling there's a booth and they're selling dolls. $5 dolls, $50, and $500. And they look exactly the same. So he's asking, may I ask you, why is this one $5? Oh, this one $5 because whatever you tell it, it enters one here, goes out to the other one. So $5. And 50, oh, 50, she hears and then she can repeat. So $50. And 500, oh, 500, that one. She hears, it goes into her heart, she realizes, and then she speaks. So I think you will all agree with me that $5 dolls, this is unacceptable. At least we want to be $50 dolls, that we hear, we're able to repeat, and we want to become $500 dolls. We hear, it goes in our heart, we realize, then we can speak. Right? Everyone agrees to that? So Śrīla Gour Govinda used to say, like, in whose ear is it entering? And he gave one example, that normally Harikatha should make you free from illusion, anxiety, sorrow, and fear. And he said, but you've been hearing Harikatha for so long and I don't see those symptoms. Then he explained why. And he gives the example, once a businessman came to the temple and he said, Maharaj, I can't sleep at night. I'm obsessed with my business. It doesn't allow me to sleep. So the sadhu said, okay, come this evening for Harikatha. So he came in the evening, gave him a nice place against a pillar, a nice cushion, and the man sat down, put his head against the pillar, and as soon as the sadhu started to speak, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, he fell asleep. After some time, the disciple said, Gurudev, he's sleeping during Bhagavatam class. Bhagavatam is not different from Krishna. We should wake him up. I said, don't wake him up. So the class was finished, everyone got up, paid obeisances, went to sleep, and the man was just snoring against the pillar. And when they came back next day for Mangalarti, he was awakened by the bells, and he looked, this was, what? He says, this Maharaj is a magician. So he gave him a big donation. And Maharaj said, come back tomorrow. And every day for 1 week, same thing. Om Namo Bhagavate. Like that. Now after 1 week, the Bhagavatam had some effect. So now the man could listen to the Bhagavatam and took interest. So he said, what is the Lila Tatparya? What is the morality? First, the Bhagavatam has to put to sleep your material tendencies. So when we hear Harikatha at the beginning, we don't get the real fruit of Harikatha. It just puts to sleep our materialistic tendencies. It purifies us. It gives us sukriti. It takes some anarthas away. And when that is done, then when we hear at that time, we get result. That's why he was saying, in whose heart is it entering? Even in whose ear is it entering? And Saraswati Thakur, because Govinda was always speaking kata of Srila Saraswati Thakur. So many parallels between them. As I'm speaking, as another parallel. No. So Srila Saraswati Thakur said, you can trace all problems in your spiritual life to a defective hearing, not proper hearing. You hear, but at the same time you're thinking about something else, and instead of kicking that away, you think about the thing and you don't listen. Actually, in Madhurya Kadambini, this is one of the obstacles before Nishta. One is called Rasa Svada. You're speaking, you're hearing the class, and then you remember for some reason some thought of some sense gratification comes. I mean, millions of thoughts enter our mind the whole day, right? And then you sit in Harikatha and something you remember some sense gratification. And Rasa Svada means instead of kicking it out, you pay attention to it and you, yeah. Oh yeah, she was so sweet. Oh yeah, he was so, like that. That's called Rasa Svada. You're enjoying material rasa, and then you don't listen anymore, now you're gone with your mind. And we know what the mind is doing. The mind is trying to convince you every moment that the thought it's presenting you is most urgent. You have to give it your immediate attention. Isn't it? If we observe how the mind is working, you try to absorb yourself in chanting or reading, and the mind presents something and says, hey, pay attention to that now. This is most important. And you pay attention to it, and next moment, but this is most important. And you can spend the whole day going from one thought to another, and this way the mind is making sure that you don't get absorbed. And Gurudev always spoke, we need avesh to be fully absorbed. Given the example in Bhagavatam, for instance, I remember one of the 24 gurus of Dattatreya Rishi, the arrow maker. He was so absorbed in making his arrows. There was a marriage party, and we know in India the marriage party can be pretty noisy, with trumpets and beating the gongs and then the drums. He was so absorbed in his work, in doing his arrow, that a person who was late asked him, which way went the marriage party? He said, which marriage party? He didn't even notice it. So Guru said, we have to have this kind of avesh, this kind of absorption, to be fully absorbed. So it means that we really want, like it says here, if you really want to do bhajan, if you really want Krishna Prem, if you really want to live in Braj, then do this. And all Gurudev, if you remember, what did he say? You have to remember the moods of the previous acharyas. That's why we sing those bhajan, which are full of moods. You have to remember those moods. You have to pray for them. You have to cry for them. Then you'll get them. It's all coming from sadhus. Gurudev used to say, bhakti means transmission of moods. Bhakti is made of moods of devotion. Bhakti is the devotional service. But what does it mean? To do with a special mood. Which mood? A devotional mood. That is bhakti, and that is transmitted from the sadhus. They transmit this to the heart when the heart is ready. As long as our heart is, I want this, but at the same time I have so many other concerns or attachments or desires, then we get something. We don't get the full benefit. If we really, that's why it says, if really you want Krishna Prem, do you really want? Śrīla Gour Govinda used to say like that, what do you want? What do you really want? Bolo, I'm not hearing anything, louder. Why don't you just say honestly, I want to enjoy sense gratification? Say it. I don't hear anything. I want to enjoy. Louder! I want to enjoy sense gratification. Oh, now you've been honest. Now you can be operated. You would do like that. Some people kept away very carefully from Gour Govinda Maharaj because they were so afraid to be put on the hot spot, the hot seat like they used to call it. The hot seat. Nobody likes to see his ego being cut in public. Okay, in private, in Gurudev's office, okay, to get chastised, but in India, they operate you without any. I remember one time I was traveling in India, 77, and I had got some infection in my hand, and it was like full of pus, and I was trying to take it out, and then the next day it was full of pus. So I went with one devotee, went to one friend of his who was a doctor, and he said, "Oh, I'm not qualified for that, I'll take you." So we drove, and we went in an open field, and there was a tent in the field. And there was a line of patients, and then because he was friend of the doctor, he got me to go first. So he said, "Show your hand." So I showed my hand. Immediately the doctor took a knife and no anesthetics, no, let me see, just and press it and put something inside. Okay, sit down, I'm going to operate you, okay, maybe a little, no. Just immediately he saw it, and in front of everyone. Only for ladies they would pull half the curtain, but otherwise just operate. Also, about 10 years ago, I had some kidney stone. I didn't know. I was in the hotel waiting for my flight the next day, and I started to have some pain in my back. I said, "What is that?" So I started move position, move like that, on the walls, this way, that way. The whole night I was fighting. In the morning I was completely defeated. Went to the desk. "Please call a doctor." I said, "No, go to the. I'll call a rickshaw, take you to the hospital." So I come to the hospital. Oh, la cour des miracles. Or you said the yard of miracles, like we say in French. No, there was a whole line of people, and people fighting in the line to come in front. Like you see in India fighting in the line for a train ticket or something. So finally, when I came in, I was like completely. It's okay. Go there. Buy this injection, and then go in next room and ask the nurse. So I go. Make the line to buy the injection, goes in the next room. And in the next room there was 2 beds and about 40 people. And people pushing each other from the bed and fighting, and I would say, and the lady said, the nurse, I gave him the prescription, I gave her okay, so she pushed somebody else, put me on the bed, put down my dhoti, and in front of everyone, like no privacy, like. In the West, so Śrīla Gour Govinda Maharaj was operating you, like it says in Krishnadas Kaviraj in his humility, he says, "I'm suffering from germs of balls of envy and germs of material infection." So I remember going to Bhubaneswar, I knew I'm going to get operated, and I would say like, "Okay, please operate," because this is a chronic disease, right? The disease we're all suffering from, Rid Roga Kama, Dear Gurudev would always say, the heart disease of lust, which is a very chronic disease. You get relapse, you get operated, but then again you have to go on the operation table. And sadly, this is what they're doing. And Śrīla Gour Govinda was doing that relentlessly. And until the person was cured, he wouldn't let you off the hook. He would, day after day, like we spoke the other day, he called one devotee a 2-legged hog for 1 month every day. And what do you want? Where's my she-hog? Where's my she-hog? I just want sex. Say it. I just want, what? I don't hear anything. I just want sex. Imagine you have to say that in front of 200 people, and they're all laughing, very happy that's happening to you and not to them. Sex. It's happening to him, and I'm not being operated now. In public, and just with his oceanic laughter as anesthetics. Thank God. Otherwise, no. Ooh. But after when you come up from the class after operation, and you'd feel like, where will I find a person who will be so merciful that he would spend his time to operate me again and again? Where is such mercy to be found? I remember, because the classes in Govinda Maharaj times was very special. He'd start the class, and for 20 minutes he would glorify the Bhagavatam, and once a week Chaitanya Charitamrita. So many verses. 20 minutes was glorifying the Bhagavatam. So many verses glorifying, and he would explain. Then he would speak for 1.5 hours in Uriya language. But you were supposed, even if you didn't speak Uriya, you were supposed to be there, all the Westerners. And he would say, if you want to understand, Krishna will make you understand. Yes, pray to Mahaprabhu, you'll understand. And Uriya, I'm pretty good with languages usually. I mean, without being no proud, but I have a facility to learn languages. But Uriya, but by hearing him, I swear, I could understand what he was saying. And 1.5 hours, then he would stop, all the Uriya devotees would go and take breakfast, then who would come? We would hear another class in English, 2 hours minimum, sometimes 2.5 hours. And after the class, and cut with bhajans, like that he would command, very lively. Then after the class, if I was there, he would turn to me and say, okay, throw some topic on the floor. He would get up and would slowly go down the steps from the Krishna Balaram temple and come to his hut. So sometimes that would take 20 minutes to half an hour going down, because he would stop, he would explain, make a point, somebody would ask another question, he would answer a few steps. I remember sometimes it was so hot and we were dancing on the steps with no shoes. He had shoes, but we had no shoes. We were like, but so much nectar, you didn't want to go. Then he would come in front of his hut, sit in his armchair, another 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes. Then he would open the screen of the mosquito screen of his house, little hut, and say, please excuse me. And he would open the door and disappear. So that was 1.5 hours in Uriya, 2 hours in English, like 3.5 hours, 4 hours, sometimes 4.5 hours. Then we would go to take breakfast. We were cold by that time, and then the lunch would come, piping hot, and very hot, steamy vegetables, dal and rice. And the Uriyas, they were already eaten from a long time. They would just come to their Uriya class, not to the